This week on the show, we have a fireside for you, and we're going to be discussing, amongst other things, label makers, camera bags, portfolios, and branding. Lots for you to think about there. So plug in, listen, and enjoy. Merry New Year.
Merry New Year. Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Are we still doing that?
Yes, because we're recording this on the 1st of January.
Well, it's our first fireside of the new year. So if you are listening, welcome back and Happy New Year to you. Hope you all had a good Christmas. Hope you liked the first episode of 2025 that went out with Ted Forbes.
He was ever so charming, wasn't he?
He was great. Yeah.
He was good. I will apologise. I will apologise that I didn't really talk much. I mean, apologise, or some people might have been very relieved, but I didn't really talk much in that episode because I had been violently ill just before we went on air, and I didn't want to tell anyone.
No,
so
let's not go into details.
No. It was a cough, Greg. It was a cough.
Yeah. Keep that between you and your doctor.
Exactly.
So how have you been?
Good, actually. Yeah, really good. I am very, very excited for 2025. It's obviously a bit of a funky time, but I'm ready for it. I have got some very exciting news, but obviously it would be amiss of me to not ask you how you were doing. How are you? Yeah,
I'm fine. Let's move on.
Okay, cool. But it's going to be a good year. I think I'm excited for it. I think there's hopefully going to be a bit of an uptick in economic conditions. Fingers crossed. And
well, we'll see. How many days into Trump's inauguration are we?
Well, he hasn't been inaugurated because obviously we're recording this on January 1st. Remember?
Yeah, of course.
But I think everything will be fine. Yeah. The year's going to be a good year, and I'm very excited for it. I will say I am buzzing because for the first time in many years I have got a studio.
Yes.
So I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I have got a light industrial unit on the back of a farm to be using as a creative space for training, working, filming stuff for the show, you name it. I'm just so excited to get in and make it my own. So I get the keys in a week.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I think I think the one thing about having a studio is we're in slightly different positions. So I have a studio, but I share it with 5 other visual kind of creatives, and it's great. In the plus points are that you have somewhere to go and people to talk to and social interaction and people to share ideas with or share concerns with, share kit with sometimes, on the negative side, you're sharing it with 5 people. And so it's only ever going to be as neat and tidy as the messiest person that you share with. And some creatives are messier than others. And there's always kind of like stuff that's kind of laying around, which you're not sure if it's coming or going, or you can't really move it because it's not really your stuff. So there's that dynamic can be interesting. But I think the big thing generally for having somewhere external to go and work rather than working from home is just that thing of having a bit more routine, having a bit of accountability because you are somewhere for a certain amount of time. So you've kind of got your hours to get stuff done, which I don't think is much of an issue for you. But I also think that the flip side of that is when you work from home, people can tend to kind of work at any hours, all hours.
Yeah.
That divide between work and home.
Well, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I think for me, there is going to be, I'm looking forward to having that separation.
Yeah.
And, it's a 10-minute ride from my house on the bike. And I'm really looking forward to just getting, 20 minutes of exercise a day, wind or shine or rain or shine, and having that mental block. Because at the minute, my office is in my house next to my kitchen.
Yeah.
And actually, it means that when people are in the house, I can hear them. And with all the goodwill in the world, I love my job and I love my career. but I would much rather be hanging out with my family. You know, I hear like my daughter doing like a disco in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, I want to go and dance there as well.
Yeah,
It's just more fun. Not that my office isn't fun. Obviously, I've got a logo light,
super
and
fun.
that super fun, right? But it's just it's working from home has become harder and harder, and there's always washing and stuff to do, and I kind of find myself getting very easily distracted, changing light bulbs and all that sort of stuff. So the idea that I can ride to the studio, do 6 hours really hard focused work, and then ride back is probably, I'm going to be more productive because I work brilliantly with a deadline. So if I know I am going to be there for 6 hours and 6 hours total, I will hopefully be so productive.
Yeah.
Plus also I'm looking forward to having like, you know, I'm going to make a little YouTube studio. And there's going to be 3 different sets of coloramas hung up on the wall, and it's, you know, there's going to be all the big stands, you know, Avenger, the guys who you know, make the Cine Grip. I've been using Avenger stuff for years and years and years, and I know we all in the stills world probably use Avenger C stands and stuff like that, but I don't know how much of the other stuff people use. We use the grip heads and everything like that, but they tend to kind of make the heavier stuff. Well, they very kindly agreed to send me some stuff to fit some of the studio out. So in addition to all the stuff I already have, I'm getting in some really big stands, and I'm going to get some, you know, going to buy a Mega Boom and all the kit that I've always wanted. I now have got the space to have it. So I am so excited. As you can hear in my voice, I'm like,
more kit chat on the pod as Tom kind of.
No, I
the great
don't know.
simplification's been reversed.
Yes, that's. I mean, I do remember that. I remember that great simplification very fondly. And then the great simplification became.
Then there was a revolution.
Well, there was the guy then had to get a storage unit, and now I've got a 500 square meter, or no, not 500 square meter. That'd be huge. Can't remember how big the unit is, but it's big enough that I could have all this stuff. And there's a mezzanine going in, so I'm going to have like a workspace. And I'm honestly, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I do need to get in though, because my office is currently full now of like, you know, extra stuff that I've been buying for it. So there's just a couple of ISOs knocking around and everything like that. So I'm just keen to make because I'm going to keep the home office as well. So and just try and make it hopefully a bit tidier.
Well,
and
you
less
will
kit.
in theory be able to do the pod from the studio, which is something I cannot do because invariably there'll be somebody incredibly loud in the background if I do that. So I
need to figure out the microphone situation there, and I'll probably just end up having to buy it. One of my big things with the studio is I'm trying to do it not on the cheap because you can't, but I am trying to not run away with it and trying to keep all the costs down basically. Because I was chatting to you off air. The quote I've had some really, really big quotes for installing heating.
Yeah.
And some of them have come in at just, you know, like $5,000.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that feels like a lot. So I've decided not to install that.
Just have a bonfire in the middle of the studio with all your kit that you no longer use.
Well, I won't need a smoke machine.
Just burn all the packaging for all the new kit that you've got. That should last you for 6 months.
Oh my God, I can actually use a hazer now. Well, this is going to be a dream. I can't wait. Anyway, but listen.
My one thing with the hazer is
just
make sure whatever sensors there are that you don't set anything off. You don't want a sprinkler system that you didn't know about going off in the middle of your studio.
No, that would wreck the coloramas and the lights and everything. Yeah, fair enough. Well, listen, I believe you might have something that I've wanted for a long, long time and I have never bought myself. Did you buy a Nimbot?
Oh, I did, yes. I've got a new little robot helper called Nimbot. Hello, Nimbot. This is a little thermal printer. It was actually recommended by one of our patrons on our WhatsApp group. I think they had a different model. This is a colour version that they have for the B18. We'll link to it in the show notes. I think I've got the labels turning up today.
Nice.
But what's quite cool about it is you can basically inside, you'll see there's a little reel for the labels, so you can get different types of labels, different colors. So it's just a standard white one in there at the moment, but they do red, green, yellow, blue, whatever. But then here is the actual what gets printed on to the label, and you can also change that color. So that's currently just black, but you can get white. I think you can get yellow and red, different colors. So
that's cool. So even though it's a thermal, you can still use.
Yeah, so I've got matte black labels that I can print with white text on, which happens to match my branding.
I was going to say that's quite slick,
and hopefully will also be. I'm planning to just get organised with things like lens caps, camera lens caps, just being able to label all of them in a kind of coherent, consistent way. I mean, it's like that episode of The Simpsons. I've been going around the studio just putting Greg Fennell on people's computers, property off, claiming things. But yeah, it is one of those things. You get it, and then you go, "All right, I've got it now." What do I have that needs a label on it?
I once got a rubber stamp of one of my old logos, and one day my wife came home from work and I was in the office and I was like, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And I just heard this, Tom! And I was like, oh, she's found it. And I had, without really paying much attention, I had just stamped my logo on the wall. And it then wouldn't come off. I don't know why I thought it would come off, because that's obviously the most stupid thing I could have possibly thought. But it was quite a big stamp. And my best man at my wedding made a joke that I had basically branded everything, including all sorts of stuff. But the logo stamp on the wall was particularly tricky to paint over.
Yeah, I mean, I love a rubber stamp. Don't get me wrong. I still have a whole load of rubber stamps in the studio. And embossing stamps and stuff. It's good to be able to like emboss prints, for example. When I sell prints occasionally, I will have emboss the actual paper itself. But also,
I think that looks so smart. When I buy a print and it's got like a little embossing thing on, I'm like, nice.
It's a nice touch. And but yeah, so actually having a label printer. I mean, I have a Dymo, and I have like the old clackety Dymos, which I love. You can't beat a classic old Dymo. But the new ones, the little button that you press to cut the paper, plastic inside it snapped. And I took it apart to see if I could try and fix it. But it's such a thin bit of plastic that even if you glued it back together, there's no way it would hold the pressure of pressing that button. It's meant to then slice with a little guillotine scalpel blade inside.
So mine also broke. So mine literally did that about a week ago.
So annoying. Obviously a design flaw. And really frustrating because other than that, they're really good label makers. But if you can't cut the label off and you've got to cut it manually, it's a right pain because you're never going to be able to cut it dead straight if you try and cut it manually, as I've discovered.
Never. And then there's nothing more annoying than when you're looking at a sticker and going, that's slightly off that.
Yeah.
That winds me up so much.
So my only concern with this Nimbat B18 is that you have to use an app to design it, which is good in some ways because you can put QR codes and images and, custom bits in there. There are certain fonts. I didn't realize this before I bought it, but there are certain fonts that you can't just use. You have to have a subscription to their service to use, which I find slightly annoying, but it's not the end of the world. But the fact that you have to do it through an app is probably what's more concerning, because anything like that, you obviously run the risk that at some point they're just going to stop updating the app, or it's not going to work with a particular iOS, and then you've basically got a big bit of plastic that can't do anything.
Yeah. So I find that sort of thing, it really puts me off when I'm looking at a device, especially now if I'm looking at a device from a small company that doesn't have a user-replaceable battery.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing now, I won't buy it.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, no, do you know what? If you guys go under, it's like all the Kickstarter things and things never coming to fruition, or they come to fruition and then they disappear 6 months later.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, no, I need to, if I'm going to spend some money now, it needs to really last.
Yeah.
I
think internal batteries always are kind of, obviously it's where everything's going, USB rechargeable internal batteries, but you've really got to then be able to trust that they put a decent battery in there. Because otherwise you end up with an item that you can just do nothing with after a period of time, and then it goes on to landfill.
Yeah, I will say there's a YouTuber who I watch a lot, for all his audio stuff. His name is Curtis Judd, who actually I'd love to have on the show because he's a super interesting guy. But he does he's an American dude and does loads of really lovely audio comparisons on microphones and stuff like that. And he's got a decent following, and he did a public letter basically to all these audio companies, and to their credit, Rode replied saying, yeah, all right, totally hear you, and moving forward all our products from X point will have user replaceable batteries. And you go, yeah, wow, fair play to the guy. That's a great thing.
Well, I do wonder, obviously, like in the EU, they've brought in the laws to do with USB-C charging cables, and I do wonder at some point whether or not there needs to be similar laws brought into things being able to be replaced or repaired. I know that in the UK there was legislation that they were looking at for that, but I just think we need to kind of get to a point where it's, the other thing with this, when I ordered the tape for it, I ordered like 8 or 9 different labels. They all came individually, seam sealed, wrapped in like foil, with you tear, but then you've also got the whatever you'd like, the jiffy bag type style sealing at the top, whatever your technical term for it is. There's absolutely no need for that, and there's just, you end up with so much packaging for 7 rolls of sticker. You just think, oh my god, that's not going to be recycled. That's just going to end up in landfill.
No, but it's like the I got a juice carton the other day, and it had a straw on it that was sealed in paper. And I thought, that's actually awesome, because for years I've been frustrated that juices don't have, they have that, they all say, well, we're getting rid of plastic, and then they have the plastic on the straw.
Yeah.
And imagine how many of those straws, or imagine how many of those rolls of tape are being sold for those printers. And actually, you think you've got a lot of stuff, but actually that's ending up in bins all over the world. I think Canon actually do it. I don't really remember a lot, but I'm trying to think about it. Most camera manufacturers that I've bought from, the cameras come in predominantly cardboard packaging. I can't actually think of much.
Well, Small Rig have gone across a lot to very kind of cardboard and paper in their packaging.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I don't need flashy packets or anything like this. If anything, I'm more thrilled when I see boring brown.
Yeah.
Do you know who does it really nicely? Is the friend of the show, Limanus, lsdigi.com.
Yeah.
And his store, it's all branded LS tissue paper. Yep. It's all got everything he ships in, I'm fairly certain, is recycled and recyclable. And he does send out a little bit of plastic, but it's in a pack of sweeties to say thank you very much for making the order.
And they're vegan sweeties.
And they're vegan sweeties with no palm oil. But I think actually, LS, I don't know if you're listening, but I think I've told him actually, so it doesn't matter if he listens or not, but I've told him I think he does a really great job in that.
Yeah, because and if a small kind of independent brand like that can do it, what's stopping the bigger brands from doing it? It's nothing really. It needs,
100%. Well, do you know who's really bad for it? Tether cables. They always come in big plastic bags, and I'm like, why?
See, I don't mind a plastic bag if it's big enough and sturdy enough to be reused, because I will keep hold of it, and invariably I'll find a use for it. So
these ones are the silly ones that you have to peel at the top, and then
drawers back there that are like, one of those drawers is full of tape, another one's full of plastic bags and bubble wrap and like every type of different plastic bag you can imagine.
Yep.
And then another one's full of electrical cables, and another one's full of batteries. So it's like, just the stuff that you end up using all the time, just really useful to keep hold of it. But invariably, most people don't have the space or the storage space to keep hold of things like that. But
also the memory, because
the memory of that plastic bag.
Yeah, I used to hold on to a ton of stuff, and now I'm suddenly going, I had it. I remember having it, but where did I put it? Because my kit's now spread over 2 or 3 different locations. If can't find
this will
something.
Be the fun thing of having the studio is ultimately is trying not to double up on certain bits of kit. So I bought the Stream Deck last year, and I keep it at home, and then every time I go into the studio I have to decide whether or not to take it in with me. And as of yet, I'm not, because I'm not using it enough. But we will come to that in a future episode, because we're going to do an episode where we do like an idiot's guide to Stream Deck. Me being the idiot, and just kind of set up some, useful shortcuts for anyone that has things like that. So workflows and what have you.
And I'm thrilled about this because I use the Stream Deck religiously. I use it probably 300 times a day. I absolutely think it's one of the best things I ever bought. So that teamed up with Keyboard Maestro. I can't wait to get you set up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So yeah, we've got. I think having multiple. I mean, I had that when I had a computer, when I had a desktop in the studio, and then I used to have a laptop at home, and that just became a nightmare. And then I kind of went down the route of just having, because obviously the MacBook Pros now are so powerful, the laptops, that you don't need a desktop really. You can be just plugging it into a monitor wherever you go.
Yeah, that's the plan, is to just have empty monitors, because there's going to be, so this is an open invitation to you, Greg. There's going to be multiple sets of desktops actually at the studio. I'm fitting it out with loads of ISOs, so creative friends of mine can just come out and have a nice day working from the studio. If you want to try something out, or you want to just come down and work, I'm going to get a decent coffee machine and just have people come and work with me for the day, just for, go for a nice lunch or get something ordered in. And yeah,
is this gonna end up like Clarkson's farm? Like when he opened Diddley Squat, and then there's like a 2-mile traffic jam in the rural countryside around his farm. Is that what's going to happen in your studio?
3 miles at least. I want it backed up in every direction. So not only have you also bought the Nimbot, you've got something else as well you want to talk to me about.
Well, yeah, I it's a camera bag, Tom. I'm sorry,
Greg.
I know.
Another one.
So, justification
Dude,
for this.
No. How have I got rid of my gear problem and now transferred it to? So how?
It's
right,
contagious.
okay.
That's why.
Tell me on two hands how many camera bags you own.
Oh God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
See, that's worrying that you can go over one.
10.
It's about 10. Yeah. That's insane. So
I
own two. Actually. I own 2.
Yeah, it's probably more like between 10 and 15. Because then you've got you've got the Billinghams, and then you've got the, it depends whether or not, if you count the Pellys, and that's more.
Dude,
I've got a bag for my video kit, which is always just loaded with that.
But I understand that. You got the doctor's bag, right?
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, so that's fine. A Shimoda. I've got two other Shimodas, right? That are backpacks. I've got the Wandered Transit backpack. I've got an old f-stop bag. I've got the Peak Design bag, and then I've got at least 2 Pellys, 3, 4, 5 hard cases, 2 think tanks.
What's this new one then? Because by the sounds of it,
bag. It's a 14-litre. So this has now become my kind of everyday. So it's by Timber.
Hang on, that's 1.4 litres.
Yes, 1.4.
Oh, that's dinky. How small are you?
Well, you know that. I'm telling you.
Actually, that's quite a big 14-litre bag. So
it just fits a 14-inch laptop in the front, to give you a sense.
Okay, which is helpful for your 16-inch laptop.
No, I have a 14-inch. But it also takes, so it's good. It fits my iPad Pro in there with the pencil, just about. Okay. And it's kind of got a small section at the back for your camera, which is down there, and then a top section. So it's very simple. Got like pass-through. It's canvas, but quite rugged. Got pockets on each side for water bottles, and then just like a roll top. It's like super basic, but I got it because it matches my Wanton Craft bike bag. It's the same kind of colours,
right?
So that's quite nice. But that wasn't the primary reason. It just happens that it looks quite nice as camera bags go. But it's perfect for if I'm heading into town and I want to take a camera just for some street photography and maybe 2 lenses. Like if I'm shooting with the X Pro 2 or the Leica or something, I can sling it in there, but it still have space for my day-to-day little man bag thing, which is
Right.
this PG Tech, which is similar to the Peak Design.
It's
Similar. It's got some other features which Peak Design doesn't have. I know
yeah,
that
but
'cause I
Peak
have the
Design is the OG, right? Like
Yeah.
I stand with Peak on this one. Like my Peak Design tech pouches. You know, I was banging on about, what was I banging on about earlier? Being one of the best things. Stream Deck,
Yeah.
right? Those Peak Design tech pouches have been absolutely invaluable. Often imitated, never bettered.
Okay. Fair
Is
enough.
what I would say.
But yeah, that bag is great. It's got like my current, two SSDs in there that have got current and backed up jobs.
Yep.
And then like a power bank and all the cables you might need, and spare SD cards and little torches, pens, everything basically for day-to-day stuff. So that can fit in the top of that Fulton bag really well. And the iPad can go down the front, and that's kind of like, it limits what I take, but it's saving my back, because previously I would have shoved all that into a Billingham.
And then have it slung across
One shoulder,
right?
Which is, let's be honest, a young person's game.
It is. That's why I wear my bags on one shoulder. Obviously.
So no, I just having the backpacks, just it's quite useful.
Can you out of curiosity, can you fit your portfolio in it?
Absolutely. Well, I can fit the iPad, but no, my portfolio is massive. So no.
Yeah. So this is the issue that I had. I love this bag. So this it turns out this is now going to be a bag chat. This is my AER Travel Pack 3.
Okay.
And it's one of the best everyday carry backpacks. It's brilliant. I love almost everything about it. It's a brilliantly designed, clever thing. It's not photo related at all. But as far as I historically have used this to go to all my portfolio meetings, it's got tons of space, loads of lovely organization, and the build quality is second to none. But there was a problem.
Okay.
Let me go and find it.
Find the problem?
Yeah. Here it is. Here is the problem. And it won't be a problem for much longer, but it'll be an even bigger problem when that problem stops being a problem and becomes a different problem. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Of course. Good. I'm glad I kept you on that one. After we had Mprint on, and I was like, no, I just have an iPad portfolio. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a print box from Hartnack & Co.
Yeah.
Jackie and Nick made me a print box, and I then, for some reason, never used it. So I went up into the loft and I found my print box.
Lovely.
Already is honestly, if you guys haven't ever seen the Hartnack & Co. stuff, it is, it's really cool, and they're beautifully made and they're super solid. They actually, because we'll talk about branding in a minute, because I'm very excited about that as well. But when I got this down, and I now have got in here loads of prints, right? And they look lovely. So I now have I'm really proud actually to show that and show it off in meetings and stuff like that. I'm really proud of the body of work that I've now curated and produced. I think I'm really proud of it. And so when I go off and show it off, I feel really kind of pleased to show it off. But the problem is, imagine bollocksing up the design when you ask the people to make it.
Right.
Actually, to be fair, I just asked them to make me an A3 box. It's like 1.5 centimeters. A3 is a size too big for my AER bag. So I then had to buy another bag just to fit, just to go and do meetings with the print box. So, and that one is actually I like this.
This is when we discover that Tom has 25 bags.
No, I've only got the two. But I really like Chrome Industries, who traditionally have made, Chrome Industries?
They do like messenger bags.
Messenger bags and stuff like that. But they do all black versions of this. And this is the perfect width for my lovely print box to just slot straight in. And it's super comfy, and it's not, I will say, it's not as nicely built as the AER bag, but it does fit the portfolio. So swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. My portfolio doesn't fit in any bag that would go on your back. It's behemoth.
Well, when you will have an A0 plus size portfolio, Greg, it won't even fit in the car.
Yeah. I regret it every time I have to get out and go for a meeting. I'm like, oh.
Every time. No, fair enough. Can I tell you something that I'm also quite pleased about with 2025?
Go on then.
And I've been now doing this as a career for 22 years. Over
you
the
worked
years,
out where the on-off switch on the camera is?
No, I just leave them on, just plugged in. For me, I have always struggled with branding, and I've maybe never not struggled, but I've always struggled maybe to sit on something for long enough that I really like it.
You don't strike me as someone that would struggle to sit with something for long enough.
No, it's the logo. I'm super pleased with that.
The Trebian logo.
Trebian logo. So that's all trademarked. That's good. I'm pleased with that. But that's the fourth logo I've had in my career, which actually over 22 years doesn't sound that bad. But there was one logo that did me like 14 years, and then a few logos in between, and then this one has been the past 4 or 5 years. But I have finally set on my brand colours, and they're disgusting.
Is this
I can't show you.
It doesn't really work with the black and white.
No, I know.
Is this a violently luminous pink?
It is the violet, because my daughter, I told you that my daughter, I said to my daughter, I said, listen, Daddy needs to choose a type of gaff tape to go on all his equipment, because some of it went back to a hire house. And she goes, oh, yeah, pink, Daddy. And you go, yeah, but there's loads. And I showed her 25 different samples of gaff tape. She went, yeah, it's definitely going to be that pink. Just so you're aware, Dad. Definitely that pink. And I was like, right. So but I've also gone with, I'm not going to obviously give the game away live on air, but when I hopefully have got it, but it's going to be a color combination that you would never have thought of. And it's going to hopefully look amazing. I can't wait. But I've just, it's currently at the printers. So I'm having loads of stuff letterpressed, and doing it all properly with blush printing.
Oh,
and
lovely.
Oh, do you know blush?
No, but I mean, just having anything letterpressed in itself is a joy.
Oh, I'm having new business cards. We've got postcard wallets. We've got envelopes. The whole lot is and I cannot wait to get it, because I've worked with blush before on business cards years and years ago. And letterpressing is expensive, I will say, but it just, I love it.
Yeah.
Just, that little indentation you get. And I asked the guys at Blush, I was like, listen, guys, don't want to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy. Can you just go a little bit deeper than you normally would? Can you just make it like a real proper indentation? And they were like, yeah, we'll go as deep as we can before it starts to look cheesy. And I was like, no, I want the cheesy look. I want it really, really deep impressions. So I think, though, how they've done it, how they would normally would, which is obviously what I'm after. I'm not interested in ruining it.
Oh dear.
But I'm really excited. This is why I've come into this year full of enthusiasm, and I've got my the portfolio sorted. I've got a new studio. I've got the stationery, and I'm properly just like, yeah. And I got the podcast, obviously. So that's really what I'm most excited about, because we finally we have a new website.
Yes.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about the website.
We didn't think we needed a new website, but we logged in and it had corrupted itself somehow. So we suddenly decided, yes, we needed a new website. So we now have a very simple single-page website where you are able to view every single episode from the previous. How this is episode 76.
Yes.
So there's all the previous episodes now up on that website. You're able to click support the show and donate to the Patreon and come join us in our private WhatsApp group, which I will say is an amazing group.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
Great group of photographers.
really, really nice bunch of guys, people, and they're just, everyone in there is just brilliant, and from all different walks of life, all over the world, actually. And it's a lovely, safe space for asking questions and finding out information and sharing knowledge. I absolutely, hands down, it is my favorite WhatsApp group I'm in, and I'm not at all biased.
Well, one thing we've been debating as well for the website is whether or not, and I'd be interested to see if people think it would be a good thing to do or not, and if you do, like, leave a comment and let us know. We're thinking about doing a gear page so that we can start to link to some of the stuff that we talk about in the show, because obviously over 76 shows we've talked about all sorts of things that we use day in, day out that make our lives easier. Would it be helpful if that was all amalgamated in one place?
Yeah, literally, we do it in a grid. So it would be like, a picture. I have one on my website. Do you have a gear?
Yeah, I've got a gear page as well.
So mine's at tombarnes.com/gear. And where is yours?
I think mine's at gregfennell.com/gear.
God, great minds. Great minds.
Going to check that, though.
But we thought we would do a gear page for the show. Actually, we should also thank Tom Hull, our esteemed web designer, for both myself and Greg, for basically pulling us up and not far off screaming at us for why we didn't already have one. So thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. But credit where it's due. He's a genius. And if you need a solid web designer who's just also happens to be a lovely guy, Tom Hull is your guy.
Yeah, we'll link to him. Specializes in doing work with photographers. So he's great in the sense that he's done and seen it all, basically, when it comes to portfolio websites and what works, what doesn't work. And he's full of really good advice on the kind of things you need to be thinking about. But we'll look down below in the comments. We'll have a little link to his website.
Well, also, if he works with me and he works with Greg, imagine his level of patience. So yeah, Tom's great. So quick story about Tom. When I rung him originally, he actually emailed me and said, "Tom, you don't need a website. You just need to optimize this, this, and this." And because I was already quite a decent web developer at that point, and so I was so thrilled that he was completely honest and just completely transparent that I was just like, do you know what? I'm never going to touch my website ever again. Tom, I actually just want you to do it. And that's been the case. I've built the show one and various other little things here and there, but Tom is, for anything that's complicated, good, or I really need to finesse and make it look amazing, I just call Tom. Anyway, enough brown nosing. He's brilliant. Let's move on.
So with the gear page, let us know if you think that's going to be useful to you, and if so, we will get on to making that. We've got some fantastic episodes actually lined up for this year, some great guests who are scheduled in, but as ever, if you want to hear from anyone in particular or any topics that you think would be worth us covering, then let us know. Leave a comment on the YouTube or email us. We're always open to ideas, and although it can sometimes take us time to kind of initialize them, if that's the right term, then but we do always kind of keep it in mind, and it goes into our big database of things that we need to be thinking about and doing. And
we do have it's sizable, actually, to be fair, but yeah, listen, the reason we do this show is literally for you guys. It's not, trust me, it's not really doing much for us. So, it's a time suck. So listen, drop us a note, drop us a YouTube comment, tell us what you want us to do, or if people you want us to get on, anything like that, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Because, bluntly, if we can make this as useful a resource for you guys as possible, well, that's our goal achieved, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably wraps up our first Fireside of 2025, right?
Well, it might have to, because there has been a flood already at the studio, and I now have to go and mop it up, and I haven't even got the keys yet. So that's gone really well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But thank you very much for taking the time to listen to the show. Greg, where can they find you if they want to find you online?
I am at www.gregfennell.com, which is FUNNELL.
And thanks for asking. Yeah, they can find me at Tom Barnes.
Didn't need to ask, I just gave you the look.
No, well, there we go. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's the old steely eyes. But yeah, if you want to find me, tombarnes.com or instagram.com/tombarnes.com, DOTCOM. And if you want to follow the show, please do. It's at Expose Negative on YouTube, and then it is at X Negative on Instagram. And obviously, the main website that looks all flashy is exposenegative.com. And yeah, please reach out. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you don't like as well, because actually, that is
Tom loves
useful.
reading those emails.
I honestly, I got such a thick skin that they're my favorite thing to read. So yeah, please
test that.
please don't. But remember, obviously, we give a lot of time to try and do this show. So when you do say something negative, please maybe frame it in like a positive way, because obviously, thin skin begets us all. But yeah, no, please let us know what you don't like as well, because
helps us improve.
Yeah, you don't improve by everyone just being all lovely all the time. So yeah, you tell us what you do, you don't like, and any suggestions for it. We're all ears. And thank you ever so much for listening. Catch you on the next one.